Aloha, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Keith Greer. He is, I apologize. He has more than 44 years of experience as an executive coach, family therapist, and trainer toward his compassionate, creative, and influential work with individuals, families, organizations, and businesses. He developed the conversationally intelligent leadership process to empower leaders through neuroscience based strategies. Keith is also a noted speaker and the host of Helping Conversation podcast. So this is the reading part of it, which I'm not so great at it. I love the spontaneous conversations. So the full bio will be the end. There's a lot more to Keith to read about it, also his website. But the question that I love asking everyone from before we dive into all the conversations that we already had a little
Sure.
bit of a taste before off record, how would you introduce yourself, Keith? Who are you in this very moment, truly?
What a great question. I am first and foremost, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. Those are my three favorite roles, most meaningful roles, the roles that bring the most satisfaction and joy in my life. They frame just about anything that I do, how I think, how I feel about the world. It definitely influences my work, the focus on the importance of these significant relationships in our lives and how we function in those relationships, whether it is as a father, grandfather, or husband, or a colleague or a friend. So, yes, very much have always envisioned myself through the lens of relationship and family.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We talked briefly off record. So, two questions came to mind. What is love to you? And what is the foundation for that interest? I'm wondering if I'm very curious about these things. Like, what inspired you to become a family therapist and be so interested in relationships? Is there a reason for it that you found?
No question. No question. Um, I was one of those kids who felt my feelings incredibly deeply.
Mm, okay.
Um, I
Yeah.
didn't like that about myself as a kid, especially as a
Right.
boy and a teenager,
Yeah.
because it so many of the messages I think that men still get to today is that that side of them
Mm,
is it's weakness. Put it away. I to this day cry easily, and so
mm, mm.
late childhood, early teenagehood, I struggled, had some difficulties, and wound up in front of some different helping people. And those people, uh, I don't even think I was that in touch with it then, but those people so inspired me in their ability to be in this conversation with people, to hold space, to create safety and comfort, and allow me through my conversation with them to say some things that I wouldn't say to anybody else. Hear some things that uh, took some courage on their part to say and some courage on my part to hear.
Oh, yeah.
And I by middle of high school knew this is what I'm going to do. I will be in the helping world somehow. And I say, you said in my introduction, I've been doing this work for 44 years. I've been blessed, one, to be in the field for 44 years, and two, to in that time have facilitated some different kinds of helping conversations, from
Right.
working in the field of addiction to family therapy, school social work I did for a while, working with teens, and now coaching, and more specifically executive coaching. So it is not a coincidence that I do what I do.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. Thank you for answering that question. I have other questions. Just by listening to you, I had others. But before that, how do you define love? What's the concept of love all about?
I differentiate between love the feeling or emotion, and love the action. So both are incredibly important. But I have come to believe that I can say I love you, even experience a feeling inside me that I might identify as love for you. But if I don't back that up with loving action,
Yeah.
you will not experience me as a loving person. In fact,
Right.
you will experience me as a bit of
Mm.
a
Mm.
contradiction. Um,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
and so I don't ever minimize the feeling part, but
Yeah.
love is how I
Mm.
interact with you, how I speak with you, how I think about you. Love is my willingness to put my needs second.
Mm.
And
Wow.
it is the willingness. I mentioned to you when we were talking before we came on, I've been married for 42 years. The willingness to not keep score
Mm.
of
Mm.
who does what and who owes what to who, and
Right.
who is needy now. It is
Yeah.
that when I think of the people I love the most, it's just this miraculous journey that also that keeps me humble, keeps me open to learning, um, and um,
Mm.
and I can't imagine I can't imagine going through this thing we call life without it.
Yeah. Right. It's very much part of the experience for me too.
Yes.
Thank you. Not for some people, and I also tend to kind of understand all sides. I think it's important, right, to keep that neutrality and also have compassion for those who don't really see life that way. And I have
Yeah.
met people who they prefer to be with animals, with dogs and cats, and not humans. But that's a form of a relationship too,
Yes,
right?
it is. Oh, yes. Look, whatever. So whether it's a relationship with pets, again, I have a son and daughter,
Yeah.
and their partners each have two dogs. They can't imagine their life without them.
Mm.
Um, we can, I think, we can think in terms of our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with the higher power, our relationship with a spiritual practice.
Right.
It does not have to be another human being. That
Right.
for us to be in a relationship with something, some maybe concept
Yeah.
that brings meaning or purpose
Mm.
or satisfaction or peace to our lives. Yeah,
Right.
no question.
Right. Does it just a little bit off topic here, if it is off topic, do you somehow see that being part of this the design of life in a sense, a purpose, some people having specific purposes and mission in this world, or predispositions?
I think it is part of our design. And I think that because the evidence, as far as I'm concerned, is we do not function well in isolation.
Mm.
Now, again, that does not, isolation is not just done away with by another human being in the room. Isolation could be our relationship, again, with the spiritual world or
Mm.
a sense of our creator.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't needed, if that wasn't built into who we are and how we were designed, then the evidence wouldn't be what it is, which is we do not function well as human beings
True.
if we don't have those connections.
So true. Yeah. So true. To me, it's a little bit beyond design. It's almost like so fundamental that everything, the
Mm,
substance of life is one. It's one essence. Perhaps if we, in science, I know they keep looking for the, this, the origin, the cell, something that kind of connects or it gives birth to all of this, nature, creation. And they have not really found anything in a sense. So they
right.
keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller to nothingness. But maybe that's what it is, an invisible, perhaps invisible substance that it makes up all this what we call universe,
Yeah.
people, plants, everything, nature. It really feels that way to me, one thing that created everything. So maybe that's why we feel like, oh, connected to nature, all the human beings, and anything else that we feel connected to. It to me is beyond design, but I don't. It's almost like a fundamental,
Yes.
yeah, like a fundamental thing. I don't have
Yeah.
words for
Yeah.
it.
You know what I wonder about, and this is just in my head. I agree with you. I think that, but I think so much of this is in the realm of what we don't understand and we never will.
Yeah, yeah,
And so in that, I
yeah.
think I've always found it important to have a level of comfort of living with things we don't understand. And
Yeah,
maybe some of it is faith that it's out there, that there is something out there that connects all of us.
yeah,
But um, I have a very good friend who a number of years ago, after several tragic circumstances in her life, decided to go see a medium.
yeah.
Uh, and if you knew this person before she decided to do this, you would say, no way would
Yeah.
she ever do this. And she went and had this phenomenal experience. And I had this great conversation with her around our level of acceptance of things in our life that we can't put our fingers on. It's not tangible, but there's evidence that it's there, even if
Yeah,
the evidence is just some sensation inside me, which is pretty significant evidence.
right.
And so yes, yeah, just can we be comfortable with that?
Yeah, that's another. To me, I know your work. I mean, I wanted to understand more. Of course, I want to ask all these questions about what you do. Conversationally intelligent leadership process. Basically, the question is. Before that question, I have so many. I have too many questions for you here. The ones that the programmed ones. Yeah, the first question. Yeah, there's guided questions. I have a lot of guided questions too. What is conversational intelligence? So I mean, it sounds like so intelligent in itself. Like even the even the concept, like, oh, I love this concept, and attractive too, because it feels like we wanted to be. Most of us wanted to be understood. We want to understand and want to be understood. So having a conversation with anyone that is somehow open, that we can just speak about anything and can express concepts that we are not really that we are not comfortable with not everyone. So I also learned that for myself too, that loneliness has a lot to do with that. When we are
Mm.
not able to communicate our deepest kind of insights about life and experiences we have had that were quite powerful, but we cannot put into words. Or when we try, most people roll their eyes or they're like, leave the room, whatever. So we're like, okay, I'll be alone. I'll just be with them by myself. So talk to me about that. What is conversational intelligence?
So, conversational intelligence is a modality that was created by a brilliant woman by the name of Judith Glaser, who I
Mm,
had the privilege to do some training with about 10 years ago, right before she passed away. She had been struggling with pancreatic cancer. Judith was an executive coach, world renowned executive coach, and she created this modality that essentially looks at the neurochemical underpinnings of how certain conversational strategies and patterns cause our brains to either say, oh, I trust you,
mm.
or land in our brain in such a way that really puts us in fight flight.
Yeah.
Because I perceive you as threat. So right now, even in this conversation between you and I, our brains, based on a variety of different factors,
Oh, yeah.
are determining, ooh, trusting person or
Mm.
not. And what we know in the neuroscience world is, so when you and I first laid eyes on each other, when our screens came on a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
zero point 0.07 seconds is
Right.
how quickly our brains are starting to determine trust or
Oh,
threat.
no. Wow.
And the really, for me, the cool thing about conversational intelligence is we're at a point now where in my work with folks, I can help them deconstruct their conversational patterns. And we can look at certain ways they interact with others that most likely are going to cause other people to perceive them as threat,
Right.
or very specific patterns and strategies that land really nicely in
Right.
people's brains
Right.
and result in me saying, oh, I can trust you. I feel safe. I feel included.
Wow.
And
Mm,
so
mm.
it's this, it,
Included.
It is. So when I first started training with Judith, if you had asked me before I ever met Judith or heard of conversational intelligence, I would have told you that I'm really good at creating trust and safety. I think it's one
Yeah,
of my innate skills that I brought to the helping profession.
yeah.
Then I started doing this training with her and just had an absolute aha moment
Mm,
that, okay, so I was kind of good at it to a certain point.
mm.
And then this takes it to the next level of
Ah,
exactly what goes on in a person's brain and where that causes them to say, oh, I like you. I want to be with you. I want to work with you. I want to fall in love with you. Or my brain is saying you are a threat and I am in some version of fight, flight, freeze, appease, and I will keep my distance.
wow. What would be a good example of that, Keith, for the audience to know? And I would love to hear that from you too. But to make this more, sort of more, not just simple, but kind of experiential. You
Yeah.
can, yeah, the experience of
All
it. Go
right.
ahead.
So let me start on the conversational strategies that create distrust side.
Yeah.
So one of the things we know, and I would imagine your listeners will respond to these examples by thinking of people in their real life.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the conversational styles is something called the addiction to being right. I'm right. I'm right.
Mm,
And inherently in that statement, I'm right, is you're wrong.
right.
And so we have all sat at either dinner tables or
Yeah.
board tables with that person banging on the table. I'm right. I know everything. We know strategies like in among any group of people, gossip. Gossip is just horrendous. It
Oh, yeah.
creates such distrust. Um, Impatience. So
Mm,
you're talking and I'm listening, but I'm like leaning in every time I hear you, about to take a breath, waiting for you to stop so I can jump in.
right.
Um,
Right.
those are some strategies that we know any kind of judgment doesn't work. Asking people to focus on what they're not good at versus being strength based.
Mm,
Now, here's the flip
mm,
side:
mm,
strategies that work wonderfully, that land beautifully in people's
yeah.
brains, are things like being authentic, making yourself vulnerable. In fact, there's some really cool research in the world of leadership that says that leaders who show vulnerability actually engender great connection with the people on their team. Because
Right.
from a neurochemical standpoint, one of the things we're looking to do here is to use strategies that actually in real time cause an uptick in the production of oxytocin in your brain, which is this really cool neurotransmitter that causes us to feel connected.
Mm,
Vulnerability does that
yeah.
wonderfully.
Yeah.
Empathy. Can I approach conversations with people and demonstrate empathy?
Right.
Empathy could be, I want to understand what you have to say. Empathy could be, I'm with you during a really difficult emotional time. Lands wonderfully in people's brains. We know when we interact with people this way, when we listen without being distracted.
Mm,
So good
mm,
body language, eye contact,
yeah.
I'm facing forward, I'm not on my phone.
Yeah.
All of these kinds of strategies work wonderfully. Here's another huge positive strategy: is to approach people with curiosity. So
Oh, yeah.
there's this concept in conversational intelligence called asking questions for which you have no answer.
Mm,
So we
yeah.
have all been in conversations with people who were asking us questions,
Um,
but you could feel like they were still trying to guide you towards their perspective.
oh, yeah.
If I am truly curious, I'm going to ask questions for which I have no answer. I truly have no answer. I want to
Mm,
learn more from you,
mm,
more about your take, your perspective, your ideas,
mm,
your opinions. If I can do that and do it genuinely,
yeah.
people will perceive me as very trusting.
Wow, that makes so much sense. And you just kind of brought something up that I'm like, wait a minute, I have to, maybe I do that a lot, I guess. I have a very, well, I'm a student of Advaita Vedanta, which is a Hindu. Oh, you're familiar with? A lot of people are
I have
not.
heard of it. I do not know a whole lot about it.
Yes. So that has been my orientation in life, in the sense of being peaceful and connecting to everything
Yeah.
and other people. I mean, it just kind of guided me into this beautiful way of being. So in a sense, it's something that's very, 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 very different, the perspective. And so many people will not entertain that idea, or even they'll just run. Some will just, my husband just ran from me for a long time. No, 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 don't talk to me about this, I don't want to hear. Basically, you are God. So everything that's happening is, you already are what you're looking for.
Mm,
There's nothing happening besides of this. Everything else like a dreamlike reality. The idea of trauma, the idea of the body doing this. We're not the body, we're not the mind. None of that. We're just kind of the witness of it all. And witnesses, as we know, they just see whatever's happening. Like in a crime, they're just, hopefully they're not involved, right? They're not supposed to be involved in the crime because they're the witness of the crime. So that's, which is, it's very, very let's say, I mean, this is my son. That's my guiding light. So I
yeah.
live through those lens. So it's really sometimes interesting to have this conversation as a witness, like, oh, I know the body. Yeah, I do have this body, mind, which is not me. It's funny how we connect at that level. But I realize that that's not me. It's not you either. We are just one thing that's not really, doesn't take action, doesn't do anything. It just creates the space for everything else to play around, for
Right.
its existence itself that we are. So that's really something that I'm trying to, how can I be authentic when it comes to that? Talk to people. And I have been throughout all these years with the podcast. But I guess I've been asking questions from different levels. And sometimes I guess I am very, very, very sincere about where you're coming from when I ask about what's just the son of your life. And you said your family. How wonderful that is as an experience. But I know it's just an experience. It's not who you are or anything is. But then I can't really say that to too many people because, a lot of people are very religious. So if you tell them that they are God, they would say, oh my God, let's kill her. She's just
Yeah.
a strange person. So I don't know how that landed with you, and I would love to hear a little bit, since I'm being like 100% just since we're talking about conversations and strategies, which I don't really relate with the idea of the word strategy because it's almost
Right.
like manipulating. No, 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 no. I just want to be myself. The self as a body mind and the self as the witness of what's happening.
So look, I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle. So I
Yes, so
agree
good.
with you because be- because at the end of the day, one of the things that I think we all have as human beings, or at least many of us have as a human being, is a really good BS meter. Do I know when I'm in front of somebody who's not being real and authentic with me? I
Right.
can perceive that, I can feel that, and I
Yeah.
will then act accordingly.
Yeah.
There's nothing about conversational intelligence or looking at things through a lens, at least for me, of conversational strategies that is anything other than being authentic.
Hmm.
But it's taking authenticity and now it's putting on top of it a little bit of what we understand in the neuroscience world. So I guess this would be my example. If I said to you, all right, I'm being very authentic when I am going to say something incredibly judgmental to you. I'm being
Right.
real,
Hmm. Yeah, I'm
but
being
I'm
real. Some people
I'm
say
being
that.
real. And or
Yeah.
sometimes I hear people say, but Keith, don't I get to say what I want to say in the way I want to say it? And people just have to deal with it. I'm
Yeah.
being real.
Right.
Okay, I get that. There's this other part of the conversational world that what I ask people is, how invested are you when you get into a conversation with someone? And I think the examples you're giving are great examples because the more feelings that are involved in the conversation, the more we're talking about concepts that
Yeah.
are not so easy to grasp.
Yeah. The
The
abstract.
more you and I need to feel pretty safe with each other to do that.
True. That is
So
true.
now what we're
Yeah.
talking about is taking authenticity and putting on top of it a little
Mm.
bit of what we understand of how to approach a conversation And here's what I always ask folks I work with: how invested are you in this conversation with whoever to enter the conversation with a true win-win mentality? I want this conversation to be incredibly productive for both of us.
Yeah.
So that means I can't just say what I want to say in the way I want to say it. That means I can't just share the way the world looks from my perspective. If I want this to be a productive, worthwhile, meaningful conversation with you, I have to be open to your thoughts. I have to be, one of the other terms we sometimes use is being open to being influenced. Like, will I hear some things from you and actually change my mind about something? So I don't want folks to hear the word strategy and think that it's manipulative in any way. This is truly how to approach conversations with great authenticity. Just also a little bit of our knowledge in the neuroscience world of how people's brains tend to respond.
Right. That will lead us to healthy relationships. Yeah, it goes back to that, right? If that's important to us, so that's so yeah. You see, that's something that I just learned from you. I mean, in a sense, you put in that kind of giving me this insight as a practical, very something that I can do it right when I go downstairs and meet my husband, and just I can apply that, not as a strategy, but a way of, we can call it, it's just words, right? We are using words, but it could be a strategy of making life a little bit better than it was a
Yeah.
few minutes ago, an hour ago. Why not? So yeah, I love your, I mean, everything about you really comes across that way. So you have the body language, the way you look. It's just kind of gives us this openness. That's why I'm talking about even Vedanta. I usually don't talk to everyone, but I tend to, though. And I do ask the question. I know when you said about being authentic about the question, you're really curious about it, not just you
Yes.
already know the answer. You just kind of, sometimes I do ask the question, so what is life all about to you? What's this all about? When I already have my very, I have not I mean, it is fixed in a way because I mean, I can't unsee it. That's the thing. It's funny. I don't know if you had a spiritual experience before. You cannot really unsee what you have seen. You know somehow within your bones that's true. If
Yes.
we knew that everything is one essence, everything is God. Basically, everything is God. What we call God, the concept of God. Then life would be so different. I guess that I cannot unsee that. And that because it feels very true to me. If everyone had that in their mind. So the mind is the one that causes the disruption and
Yes.
disconnection is in the
All
mind.
right. So the cool thing about you asking me that question, right, or
Yeah.
you sharing this perspective on God.
Yes.
All right. So here's another place we sometimes tend to get ourselves in a jam in conversations. It's something called assuming shared meaning. So
Yeah.
every word that is coming out of our mouths in this conversation is wrapped in meaning. So anything I'm saying, it's wrapped in meaning based on my 66 years of life, seeing the world through my eyes and my eyes only. I know what I mean. Sometimes I might not even know what I mean, but there's meaning in there. Now you're doing the exact same thing based on your life experience. Our tendency sometimes as human beings is to assume shared meaning. I don't even think about the fact that, all right, I'll use the term God, that if I use the term God, it's wrapped in meaning. So I'm in this conversation with you and I'm going to assume you're wrapping it in the same meaning. And that runs the risk of our conversation not being productive or us not connecting versus, all right, I have an idea of what I mean, but now you share the word God. And so I can ask a question for which I have no answer. Tell me what that means to you. Because I really, truly, I'm curious. I want to understand it because I only have what's in my head. And too often, us human beings get so
Yeah.
comfortable with what's in our head, it's the only thing we worry about. And then
Right.
I'm going to argue with you or debate you
Right. Right.
versus, nah, different meaning to maybe the same words, same concepts, different life experience.
Yeah, how beautiful. See, that's coming from a very clear space of in a sense of thinking, of communicating, of observing from your perspective, right? So since you raised that question, do you mind if I ask that question to you? What is God to you?
Whew, man, what a
I'd
question.
love to hear
What
that.
is God to me? I will tell you that I have always considered myself a pretty spiritual person.
Yeah.
Um, some of my spiritual practices within the confines of a formal religious practice that is meaningful to me.
Yeah.
It totally depends on the day that you ask me this question
Yes, right.
as to how I think about, conceive, envision God in my life. There are days I think
Yeah.
it resonates deeply with me of this again this spirit out there that we don't totally understand, that we can't really put our fingers on, this
Right.
sense of connection of all human beings and creatures that again is hard to
Mhm.
make tangible. It makes sense. There's some days I would tell you I'm struggling a little bit more with the whole God concept, maybe in
Right.
response to some of the things that go on in our world that I wish were a bit different. Um, I think another piece for me of how I conceive God is that um, God handed us
Mm.
the ability to make choice. So
Yeah.
I am not someone, I totally understand and respect how some people's vision of God is God kind of has this plan for me and I'm following God's plan.
Right.
I've always struggled a little bit about that. I do see
Right.
myself as having choice. I don't
Mm.
know if it's God's plan.
Mm.
Um, I
Mm.
just know that
Right.
I also the other thing I guess as I'm listening to myself talk right now that I
Yeah.
like about how I relate to God is that I have God's permission to have this
Mm.
debate going on inside me.
Right. Huh.
That
Interesting.
I don't need to always land 100% of the
Mm.
time in
Mm.
total belief, no question. I
Mm.
struggle with it, and in a kind of
Mm.
weird way have a certain level of comfort with that struggle.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for answering that question. It's I know that the word God has different, yeah, some people don't even want to hear it. I noticed that
Right.
too. I don't have a problem anymore knowing that God is just giving the existence itself, it's just giving us the opportunity to have the experience. And
Yes.
us, not that us that we think we are, but just why not? It's the why not. Like the plants we look at, wait a minute, we are nature. So we are just a different kind of flower, different kind of tree, but we don't behave that way. So because the mind, it's interesting, the gift of the mind. The mind is this, it's fascinating. What a powerful tool that we can just create, 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 and keep creating to the point of losing ourselves and not even
Yes.
knowing. Some mental illnesses. That's like completely losing sense of reality, of this reality, and not even knowing what this is. So that's kind of fascinating too, how the power the mind has. And you're right, the choice thing. So it's funny about blind faith. I think you brought that into the
Ooh.
light. Yeah, being just, I would just believe that this is what my
Yeah.
destiny is, but you don't really, you sense there's something that's not quite intelligent about it. I would say it's not a judgment. It's just, I really kind of see intelligence as knowing that freedom itself is what this is. So let everything be what it is and be what is happening right now. It's supposed to be. This is destiny. You and I having
Yeah.
this conversation. This is it. And if we died, we lost the body right here. This has been always it. Oh gosh, I can see the ocean from here. I didn't even realize. From this window, I love the ocean. But anyway, so there's something about that, right, Keith? Just letting, I think even in psychology, we see with a lot of therapists that I talk to, and Taoism, all kinds of spiritual traditions that I have studied, they all say the same thing. The more you let go, you find the truth.
Yeah.
So it's letting go, and you don't have to believe in anything. You just it's what's
Yeah.
here in front of you. You're about
I
to say
think
something.
there's also this piece about, mentioned, therapists that you've interviewed. I don't think it's a surprise that so much in the therapy field um, has moved towards a greater understanding and use of mindfulness practices, that we
Yeah,
do better as
yeah,
human beings when we can, you just said it, can I just enjoy this conversation in the here and now with you
yes,
and not have this voice in the back of my head of, what I need to do when you and I are done or what's on my agenda for tomorrow. And I will
yes.
be the first to own that is not easy for me
I
to,
know. Yeah,
that
yeah.
I can
Mm,
be guilty of, of being, I think of it as being a time traveler of,
yeah,
thinking too much about what's coming or ruminating on something in the past versus
yeah.
now, here and now. And
Right.
and then I go back to, when am I at my best as a husband, as a
Mm,
father, as a grandfather, as a friend? I'm at
yeah,
my best when I can be present in the
mm,
moment.
that's
And
it.
that takes, for me, it takes a lot of work to really, really do it and do it well.
Yeah, because this is we've been practicing quite the opposite, right? To live in our minds in the future, in the past. That's what we've been. Even society kind of does that. Everything is pretty much the way it has been instructed by humans. I
Yeah.
mean, certain humans to life to be this way. Program. What's your what do you want to be when you grow up? Even that question. What do
Right.
you want to be? It just doesn't make. I mean, it's good to dream. I do see the power also of and the fun of imagination and creativity and kind of you know thinking about the future in a sense of yeah, why not, that's fun too, but it's still happening right now. So if it doesn't even if it doesn't happen in the future, I already experienced in somehow in my imagination. That has to do with intuition too. It's very much connected to that. And storytelling, I love this. I mean, I'm just so much into storytelling these days, I don't even know how I got here with that, but it just it's fascinating me, the idea of the stories in our minds, the stories in our bodies, the stories in this very moment. And you're right about the agendas of always being in the future or wanting something to be different. Basically, that
Yeah.
I have found some people that I interviewed to do that. They like, can we go back to the book? Can we go back to the questions that we to the topic? And then I would feel a little bit disrupted within my be because this is not natural to me to be,
Right.
especially when I am in the presence of people like that. I have no agenda at all. But I know this is a marketing, this is a marketing tool as well. We have to have a little agenda. So I keep going back. As of now, this is almost like a hint to go back to my guided questions.
Well,
I
let
have,
me tell you, I will just tell you how much I am enjoying this conversation,
yeah.
because I think, like, too often in my life, I'm not in these kinds of conversations, which is
Mm,
just me and another human being chatting, getting to know each other,
yeah.
um, you know, learning a little bit about how we see the world, and that is, it's fun and wonderful, and it's okay not to talk about work.
Thank you. Oh my God, that's not so. I mean, I have to say that, some people say, oh, you're lucky to do what you do. I guess lucky is not the word. It's just that I'm so it's almost like I can't be different. It's a choiceless
Yeah.
choice. I gotta be in
Yes.
the moment. I love being playful and I love wisdom, of course. And then I'm always looking for meaning and depth. So I guess that's a good combination of looking for depth and deeper connections, but also letting go of agendas. Yeah, of being more playful and spontaneous. So thank you for being that way.
Ah,
Um, and speaking of that, I want to go back to the because I have an example. I really would love to hear from you because it is something that I'm not struggling with because I see everything. I'm very playful with life itself, so my relationships, everything's very playful. But sometimes, kind of, it makes me sad that some people they don't understand that. Especially, I have a nonprofit and I have a business for about 10 years, so I'm very serious too in that sense, and I'm responsible and all those things. But I see myself more as a childlike child person, childlike, not childish. So But some people don't understand that. And I do have team members that the other day we had a conversation. We're having conversations on the phone about aspects of the nonprofit that
Hmm.
some now we are dealing with funds. We have donations and we're supposed to apply them in for certain things, specific things. And then grants, I understand, is like that. You have to apply exactly what they gave you the funds for. You have to apply, and I understand because I don't understand much about these things, but then I'm learning. And then a person gave us a donation, and then it never said anything. We had the conversation on the phone and then texting. Oh, I really would love to help with the pilot programs and then also the rental of the space that we're going to host the storytelling meetings. We talked for days about it. And then the funds landed in the account, and then something didn't happen. Like the space they were supposed to rent, it didn't go through. It was sold. And then I said, oh, okay. So I told her the place was sold. So now I'm going to look for another one. And now we'll look for another place. And then we're going to, because it felt very natural to me, kind of relocating, kind of applying the funds to exactly the same purpose.
Okay.
But then I didn't realize what I didn't know is that she had written the specific use of the funds to rent that specific space, not a different space. And that she wrote that in a donation note when she made the donation was written in a different platform, a bank. I didn't know, I was not aware of. And our conversations were to the phone and texting phone. So that made me really upset because I thought very sad and upset because I thought that she was not being honest and she didn't tell me like why you didn't tell me that while we were talking that you had set those restrictions for those funds because I started
Yeah.
looking for another place immediately and there's a lot of work. So now we are like in the verge of
Mm.
just kind of ending everything because of that. So I would love to. Is that a conversation? Would you say conversational intelligence would help in this case, both of us?
So let me ask you this: if you could have a conversation with her about all of what happened,
Yeah.
what would you like the outcome of that conversation to be?
Oh,
Perfect world.
the conversation only. Yeah. Well, given my where I come from, if I'm in person, I would just hug you. I just play. I'll probably never get to the because yeah, something in me is always looking to be light and playful and
Mm-hmm.
non-conflict. So I would always end however you want it. I would say, what do you think? What do you want this? Okay, okay, okay. So if you don't want me to apply the funds to another place, it's okay. And I would just end it that way
Right.
because I would not fight. Yeah, I have no interest in. So is that something that's also I need to work on in the sense of being, yeah, I'm wondering.
Oh, you get to answer that question. Right.
Right.
So if
Yeah.
that was how you entered and exited that conversation, would you walk away feeling like that I was honest, I was authentic, I said
Mm,
what I wanted to say, or would you feel like you kind of tap danced around it?
yeah. Well, if she gave me the answer, I was about to say if she gave me the right answers. That's why she was, yeah, she gave me the right answer. The right answer meaning the answer that I know is true, that she's coming
Right.
from a place that's true and authentic to her. Oh, I not apologies. I don't need an apology,
Yeah.
but I just didn't understand why you didn't tell me one. I mean,
Yeah.
I asked that question because I had to ask the question. She already wrote, but then I'll meet her this weekend and now ask her, like looking at her in her eyes, because I'm going more by sensing and intuitively, how do I feel? If I feel safe
Right.
around, not just what you're
Yes.
saying, but around you. So I'm meeting her in person, and that will give me the answer, I guess.
That's
Yeah.
right. Right. So if you walk into a room with her and your intuition says there is something about this person's energy that I do
Yeah.
not feel safe, then you know, then first of all you have to listen to that, trust that intuition, that
Right.
intuition is on the money. So here's the other thing I wonder about. Now, I'm guessing here because obviously I don't know this person.
Right, right.
So there's the chance, if you were completely forthright and candid with her, that it could become a little conflictual, this conversation.
Yes, I noticed that already on the phone. Yeah,
Okay.
she said my name, and that's how I knew Valeria. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
wait a
yeah,
minute.
yeah. There's some energy there. There was
My
some
mother,
energy.
yeah, yeah. And my mother said, Valeria, don't you
So your
do anything.
mom walked in the room. I hear you.
Yes, yes.
So one of the things I wonder about is, so there's this thing I do with folks I work with, where we talk about how to have a conversation about the conversation. So before we
Mm,
actually have the conversation, can we spend a couple of minutes? It's almost kind of like setting some guidelines on things we could both do that could increase the chances it is going to be a productive conversation for both. So
right.
what popped into my head as I was listening to you talk was something like, hey, listen, so and so, there's a question I have to ask you. I'm not sure how the question is going to land for you.
Right, right,
It's really important to me that you hear how much I value and appreciate what you were willing to do. And I
right,
just want to make sure that that's there,
right.
and that you trust me on that, because there's a chance when I ask this question that just not, I don't know you well and I'm not sure where it's going to go. And or listen, if I ask you this question and boy, it doesn't land for you or you feel defensive, please, please, please tell me.
Mm.
So one of the things we can sometimes do in these conversations is we can put out on the table things that might happen that we hope don't. But by putting it on the table, we increase the chances they won't, or if they do, they will not be quite as intense.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
a fundamental need we all have, every single one of us has in our interaction with other human beings, is our need to feel valued and appreciated.
Mm.
Um, it's
Yeah.
the primary reason why people leave jobs, not compensation. They leave jobs because they do not feel valued and appreciated.
Mm. Yeah.
Feeling valued and appreciated doesn't mean that you and I won't have candid conversations. It doesn't mean that we might not have conversations where we disagree, might even
Right,
get a little bit heated.
right.
If we set out ahead of time some of how this works for both of us, we can have heated conversations. We can have conversations where we disagree, see things differently. And
Mm.
nowhere in there do we, I use the term, do we assign malicious intent?
Right. Yeah,
That
the
the
intention.
you're
That's
trying to hurt
yes.
me, or no,
Yes.
that's not my intent. It's just
Right.
tough conversation. So, that's one of the
Right.
things I would think about, um, in raising and being curious with her about how this all went down.
I know. And I already asked the question by email. She answered, but didn't convince me because
Yeah,
I felt it. There's something that's missing.
yeah,
Yeah. So sometimes that's what I usually do. I let go of a lot of relationships that could be, but not in a bad, negative way, but just let go of them. It's okay not to be. Was not meant to be.
yeah.
Or yeah, in a healthy way. And hopefully the other person will do that too because I don't hold any resentment or anything.
Right,
Nothing like that. But true, I'm only committed to truth. Like within the realm of spirituality, where I always wanted to know what this is all about. It was just found myself here. Was about probably 7 years old. I'm like, what am I doing here? That was a question that I had I had to answer that question. I had to find the answer. And I
right.
believe more than a belief system that I found it. So now is the truth within like this reality, this sub reality of mind and of body, what's true about the body, how we feel, feelings and thoughts and memories, all those things. It's true, still truth. And I often wonder if this is a design of my own. I'm here for this, and I'm only committed to truth. I have no interest in anything else. And if it's truth is not there, then you just lose me, lose me in the sense, no, I don't want to play anymore. No more playing.
Oh my gosh, does it take so much energy and work to be in any relationship, any conversation where you have any question about whether the truth is in front of me? It's just,
Yeah.
it's, Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yes.
It just, can we
Yeah.
at least start there, that we will be forthright with each other? We might disagree or see things differently,
Right.
but trying to figure out if
Yeah.
somebody is being, if my sense inside me is, I don't know if you're being honest with me, I don't want to invest the energy in that. I'm with you.
Right. That's it. Yeah. Not investing the energy. And also, the practice of accepting the unacceptable, the truth of no truth as well, just letting go again, letting go, even this idea that I've been designed to, to live in truth and find the truth. So that's another thing that I practice too, of letting everything go, which is, that's like the highest form of practice, really
Yes, it
being
is.
completely free. Now you're free, even of the ideas of truth, of design, of whatever. You just kind of walk on earth as you're born every second, really. Oh,
Yeah.
it's just a new day. And don't let's not make this one, this
Yeah.
moment, any different. So, but it's fascinating, this whole thing, and I could talk to you forever and ever. I really feel like I want to go back to some questions guided questions that you sent to me that caught my attention. They were so interesting. Like you said, I think you've been talking about this already, but this caught my attention. The difference between listening to understand and listening to connect. And this is something that you've talked already, but I would love for you to kind of, again, at the end of our conversation, bring this important topic.
Sure.
Like,
Two very important ways of listening, but different. Right? So I'm in a conversation with somebody, and we are, um, they're sharing their perspective on something, an opinion, whatever. There's a certain way of listening where I'm taking in the information. I'm kind of playing around with it in my own head, so that, because I want to understand it, I want to understand their perspective. Understanding somebody's perspective doesn't necessarily cause me to connect with them. In
mm,
fact, I can understand it and then have this other conversation in my head where I start debating it, and, well, you see it wrong, or
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Listening to connect
Mm,
is truly
mm,
quieting my mind, letting go of any opinion or assumption,
mm.
not easy to do for most of us human beings,
Right, right.
listening with curiosity, listening with empathy, listening with
Mm,
a deep dedication to, just, can we just connect as human beings here?
mm,
If
mm.
if if we have some different opinions, there'll be time somewhere else, right, to
Yes.
debate opinions or
Yes.
see what we understand about each other.
That's it.
But what doesn't happen in our world is, is true, authentic connection. I've been reading some articles lately
I
about,
know.
it's mostly talking about United States culture, about the epidemic of loneliness, about the ever increasing examples of adult children and parents being estranged from each other,
No. Yeah.
siblings, adult siblings being estranged.
Sad.
Um,
Yeah. Yes. It's very
it
sad.
I don't know what it says about all of us. It says a
Mm,
lot, I think,
mm,
but
mm, mm.
I um,
Yeah.
I think I think a lot when I meet somebody for the first time. Can I listen in a way to truly connect? Which also means, uh, when I'm listening to connect, I'm not sharing any of my own thoughts, opinions,
Mm,
assumptions, beliefs.
mm,
I am
mm.
quieting my head, and I am listening and doing my best to connect with you as a human.
Wow. What's not to love about that, Keith? If we can just be that way, breathe
That would be
more, and kind
nice.
of yeah, this is something that I don't know. I can only say it. It's just very experiential for me. Every time I meet
Hmm.
somebody new here or in person, everything disappears. It's almost like nothing
Yeah.
exists anymore. That to me is my form of connection. Like
That's beautiful.
I'm just hearing that. Let's see where this goes, and if I can say anything, you can say anything. That's amazing. And I know I do a lot of the homework here, but can we let go of that a little bit too? And and if you can connect it to your humanness, I think this has to do with connecting to ourselves too, listening to the depth of what we are,
Right.
beyond of who, it's what that comes with that essence again. Something happens where you just kind of you let go of a lot, and then you're
Yeah.
just more present. But
Yeah.
this is not where everybody is, and I think your work, it's extremely helpful when it comes to that, kind of creating this almost like a bridge. So for those who are not there yet, in the sense of willing to let go every moment, every second, and being more open, more curious, more loving, more almost like hmm, it's almost like a seat, creating almost like a place that someone else can rest, and be
Yeah.
themselves too, and from that essence.
Yeah.
People call it spiritual work, but I don't see it that way. I just see it as a fundamental thing in life itself. It might be considered spiritual because of the language too, how I spoke about Vedanta. There's a
Right.
language to it, dream reality and God and all that. But fundamentally, it's just that knowing that everything's already connected. So almost like there's no need for connection anymore. It's already here. You
Yeah.
already you are what I am, what everything is, and this is it. How wonderful is this? How
Yeah.
beautiful. How I mean, if you really see the magic and the beauty, it's just it's it's beyond words. You cannot
Yes.
even describe it. I cannot even describe these connections I have with people, which to me they're not connections.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're almost like
Not
this.
easy, not easy for a lot of people to listen for. Because
Right.
so this would, I guess this is, should be a way
Right.
I guess I conceptualize it. Like I have to, I don't know about you, Valeria. I hold my opinions very deeply. I have very strong opinions about things.
Mm.
Here's one of the things that I believe with every fiber of my being.
Yeah.
None of my opinions, none of my, whatever is my sense of right
Mm.
is not a universal right. So I ask the following question to a lot of people in leadership who can be some pretty strong personalities. When I'm working with somebody who's very stuck on I'm right, I will ask them, is there any evidence in the known universe that your sense of right is the only right? Because the
Mm.
answer to that is no.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
your right. And I don't minimize that because I know how deeply I feel my sense of right.
Ye- yes.
But to
Yeah.
listen and connect to another human being, I have to be able to quiet that, to
Yeah.
listen to other people's their sense of right, what's right for
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
meaningful to them.
Yeah.
And that is that's a tough practice, to quiet our own
Yeah.
opinions,
Yeah.
assumptions,
Mm.
beliefs,
Mm.
so that I can take in yours and appreciate it and be curious about it and celebrate it with you. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's not to love about that too? No agendas, and you're just kind of
yeah,
there to listen. How wonderful. I know the work that you're doing as a podcast guest. You're supposed to answer questions and know a lot, really give you a lot of your opinion here. And you have in a very helpful way. I think it's the difference is helpful. So you're being very helpful when it comes to everything that you're doing as a coach, as a therapist. Your work in general is so beautiful, and your presence. I mean, for me, is your presence. Like
thank you.
just by seeing you the first second, like, oh, great, that's wonderful, because I felt already connected at the level too, the level of the reality that I mind, body, even the body language and your mind. So I connected immediately with that, and then knowing that's the one set essence that already know from my practices, knowing that intuitively, then it makes so much. I don't know. I call it beauty. It's sacredness, and it's beauty.
Yes,
It's so beautiful.
yes.
So thank you so much. I could talk to you forever. I have another
Oh,
appointment
thank you
in a
for
minute.
inviting me into this conversation. It's been wonderful.
And thank you so much for being open, because I know I had so many questions for you here that I didn't ask about your work. And I love the idea. Also, I want to mention emotional intelligence is one of the aspects of your work, which a lot of people see that takes work to be
Yeah.
helpful. So helpful in conversations, helpful in life, in relationships, and whatever it is that's practical, it takes work. So that's what
Yeah.
you basically telling us, which a lot of people do. It's not easy. It's not just one time thing. It's something that we need to work on. We need practice.
I always say personal development is not for the faint of heart. It is hard work. It is vulnerable making work. Takes
Right.
great courage, but so worth it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Keith. I want to mention that you offer. So I have two services here from your website. The website's keithgreercoaching.com. It will be on the podcast notes. And services, executive coaching and leadership development. Did I miss anything? Are you still working as a family therapist at this
So I
time?
am not working as a family therapist. Well, let me take that back. Sort of. So
Yeah.
one of the niches that I have fallen into in my executive coaching work is that I work quite a bit with family-owned businesses, which is
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
amazing intersection of good
Yeah.
business practices and our family stuff.
Right.
So I don't call it family therapy, but it skirts it a little bit now and then. But
Yeah.
no, I gave up the family therapy practice a number of years ago. Loved it, loved it, loved it for the years I did it, um, and but totally enamored with the conversation I'm in with folks now.
Right. How amazing. So those skills you don't lose, right? So you bring them with you. Those are the skills that you
I
very
look,
valid.
I'll even go one step further. Even in my work with leaders,
Yeah.
people in leadership, this is a bit of a general statement, but when I think of my work with folks in leadership, when leaders get stuck, right? So something's not going well with someone on
Yeah.
their team, or they're having trouble connecting with people on their team.
Right.
My take is that often that stuck point is based in family of origin. Some of the stuff that we walk
Mm,
around with that
yeah.
still, you talked about like your mom walking in the room, right?
Right.
For me, it's
Yeah.
my father
Remain.
walks in the room. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so in my work, it's always interesting because in my work with leaders, there are moments that I bring my family therapist head into the conversation, which is
Right.
often not what they are expecting.
Right.
But leadership is nothing more than a relationship. And so we bring relationship rules and relationship experiences and relationship trauma to that
Ah,
relationship. And I ask the folks I work with to be willing to get curious about that part.
yeah. How wonderful. That the question that I didn't ask the difference between coaching and therapy. So I think you answered that question there. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more? It's very
I'll give you a really quick answer, and this is not the be all and end all answer, but I think of two factors that differentiate coaching from therapy. So one factor is, I think of it as where in time and space does the conversation take place. So therapy, and this is
Mm,
again a very general description of therapy,
mm,
that conversation often starts in the past, looking at past hurts, losses, traumas,
yeah.
moving a person up to hopefully in the present, feeling better, functioning better, moving forward. So past to present.
How,
Coaching in general starts in the present, moving to the future. Where are
how,
you today? Let's say as a leader,
mm,
where would
mm.
you like to be? Now, one caveat. So, do I go into the past as a coach? Yes, sometimes. One, with complete permission from my client.
Yeah.
And two, more often than not, I will go into the past looking for strength and capacity that can be
Ah,
brought to the present and used
yeah.
in the future. I
That makes
don't go into the past to do deep family therapy. So, where in time and space. And then the other differentiator is that in general, therapy is often more of a process oriented conversation. We're talking about thoughts, talking about feelings.
yeah.
Where in coaching, it's much more action oriented. Where are you today? Where would you like to be? What action steps are you ready to take to get there?
Right.
So those are two of the things. But I have a daughter who's a therapist, and we have this
Oh,
conversation all the time
yeah.
about that maybe the line between coaching and therapy isn't as distinct as we sometimes might want to think it is.
Right. It sounds to me like it's a beautiful combination if you can just,
Yes.
like you do, you're just bringing, using all what's helpful for from any aspect of those two types
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
modalities.
Exactly. That's the hope.
That makes a big difference. Yeah, you are wonderful. You have been wonderful here with this conversation with me, and I know I'm not linear in any way, and I just love being,
Oh,
what
it's
it is
good.
right here,
It's
right
good.
now. Yeah, thank you so much, Keith, for your beautiful presence and work. And we'll be in touch again. I have the website will be here, and I would love to have you back. Of course, I would
I
love to
would love
continue
that.
the
I would love it.
conversation.
Thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me into it.
Thank you, Keith. We'll talk soon. We'll be in touch
Okay.
again. Bye for
Okay.
now, mate.
Bye bye.